Okay, Dr. come sit here, please. Can Mr. Ibrahim Dawood, Mulana Jadwat, Mulana Arif, please come to the front. Sister Subhashni, where are you? Sister Subhashni? Okay, are there any of the head of the faculty or the from Humboldt University or lecturers? Okay. Okay, well, welcome everybody. My name is Mohammed Khan, and welcome to the IPCI, the Islamic Propagation Centre International. Thank you for being such a good audience in the mosque tour. I hope you all enjoyed it. That part of our program has finished. The second part of our program is where the Muslim NGOs are going to deliver a 10-minute talk to you on Muslim social spend, and you'll have the chance to interview them. But when you're interviewing or when you're asking questions, please state your name, university studying, and where you're from. So the first speaker for today will be Dr. A.V. Mohammed, the Chief Trustee of the Jummah Masjid, the largest mosque in Southern Hemisphere, just built, but he's also a patron of many other organizations. The second speaker is Dr. Ghulam Hussain, sitting next to him, from the Islamic Medical Association, from As-Salam School, and also a former trustee of this institute, IPCI. And he will talk to you about Islamic Medical Association. When he finishes speaking, there is another lady also from the same organization, Sister Fatima Abdullah, and sister from who's going to be opening the frail care department of the Islamic Medical Association. The third speaker will be Mulana Arif from the South African National Zakah Fund, a poverty relief institute. I think we spoke about Zakat earlier. The fourth speaker will be Mr. Ibrahim Dawood from the Refocus and Upliftment Foundation, very unique organization in South Africa from the Islamic perspective, and it is a rehabilitation organization, and very actually at some other point, if you'll have the chance to visit, he'll explain to you. The fourth speaker is Mulana Jadwat from Darul Ihsan, a humanitarian organization, and because time is at a premium, I'm going to start. So we'd like to call upon Dr. A.V. Mohammed. Bismillah. Thank you.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. In the name of Allah, the most beneficent, the most merciful, I greet you all with the universal message of peace. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I have multiple caps and I have multiple duties to perform. And I didn't know where to start. I had a sleepless night thanks to you people that will be coming here. Is to say, what is the first impression? What do I tell you people? How do I start? And I have my learned colleagues in the religion of Islam sitting next to me. So I'm going to watch how I cross my T's and dot my I's, and if not, they'll take me to task from the religion. That was one of the questions that was asked to the boss. Just a 1-minute update on the Jummah Masjid boss that you visited. The arrival of the Indians in South Africa from India way in 1860, as you know, there were about 11 or 13 Muslims, with about 360 people. But in 1874, the Muslim traders arrived from India, Porbandar, but they came via Mauritius, they were traders. This mosque was purchased from a non-Muslim lady who had arrived in 1860, and she used this as a vegetable market, selling her wares, her products in the place that you've seen. The mosque is made up of 5 different properties. We have a mosque in Bluff, which was also purchased in 1895. And we have a mosque in Chatsworth, which was because of the apartheid era in 1960.
I'm just asking.
But there were various changes made to the mosque, and this mosque has a waqf, means the property, the assets belong to God, Almighty Allah. So it is the first Muslim waqf trust formed in 1916. It has a capacity of about 7,000 people.
7,000.
So you are seeing the second mosque built in South Africa, but the first in KwaZulu-Natal, which is one of the 9 provinces, and it is up till today considered and accepted as the largest mosque in the Southern Hemisphere because of the area that you all were sitting in the mosque, that is called the actual physical mosque, and the other ones are the adjoining parts. I found it very interesting this morning when I was going through my archives, and one of the things that I need to speak about is social cohesion and interaction. And one of the questions asked by our brothers in the mosque today of the extremism and how do one get into contact with other religions or other groups. I'm just going to read you an extract from my speech, which I gave to a Sai Baba organization. They have the chariots, and once a year, a non-Muslim organization, the Hare Krishna movement, they have a fair during Easter, and I was a guest speaker at about 25,000 people. So I'm just going to read you a little extract from there, and I found it is very, very relevant to today. I first and foremost want to congratulate IPCI and congratulate you people for taking this initiative and being here today. I firmly believe that more people ought to think about God consciousness rather than sectionalism with petty distinctions at the expense of the general well-being of nations and its people. Simply, I mean, in this day and age, we can't think and behave with restricted interest in narrow spheres. God is all-embracing and does not discriminate. We gave him different names. Islam teaches us to open our hearts and minds to help the needy and the destitute without any distinction of color, creed, race, or religion. One has to rise above these biases and prejudices. Humanity is just one and one family. The Prophet, peace be upon him, said, the entire humanity is Allah, God's family, what Allah loves most from among his family, who benefit the family most in humanity. Now, Brother Muhammad in the mosque gave you the 5 pillars of Islam. And I'm going to break it down to another 5 pillars. One of them says in the Holy Quran, you are entitled for the religion you want to practice. The other one says, every human being is entitled for dignity and honor. And then I go further to say, it's in the Holy Quran, and I'm not picking it out of my head. It says in the Holy Quran, it's divine by Almighty Allah, that do not pick on other gods, for they will pick on your Allah. So you create an argument. So I just want to say that humanity is one family. How do we put ourselves into humanity? It is not what humanity can do for you, it's what you can do towards humanity as well. That is the important factor. And I want to quote you from the Vedas. You know, the Vedas say, we are birds of the same nest. We may wear different skins. We may speak different languages. We may believe in different religions. We may belong to different cultures. Yes, we share the same home, our earth. And this is in the Vedas. And same with other religions. They have similar, if not virtually the same, but in different words, put it in different sentences and different paragraphs. So my main task here today is to ask the questions of what is the religion of Islam doing to integrate into other religions. We are fortunate that if you see out of the window, you see the mosque on your left, you see the church, that's an Emmanuel Cathedral, it's a Catholic church, and next to him recently built the Dennis Hurley Centre. The mosque and the church share 100 years of partnership. We virtually asked the authorities together, and it's on a joint letter. It is not a separate letter from the church, it's not a separate letter. The Dennis Hurley Centre, I don't know if you're going to go on the tour, it is an empowerment, uplifting the homeless people. The property that it is built on was owned by the people that owned the property of the mosque. And it was sold to the church for £1,000. And that title deed, Mahatma Gandhi was one of the responsible persons to make the transfer. But the Musa family that built the mosque donated that £1,000 to the church. That's one of the first parts. I'm leading up and taking you all down the social cohesion route. When they wanted to break the old parish, the mosque and fellow Muslims donated 240,000. We were the first people to donate the money to build that Dennis Hurley Centre. I'll tell you what it does. Now, the Dennis Hurley Centre, at 7 o'clock in the morning, there are close to 400 people that are homeless. Of course, there are more than 400 in Durban. When they come in at 7 o'clock, they give it a cup of tea, maybe 2 slices of bread or a roll. Then they are put into a washroom for them to have their bath, but there are 6 bathrooms. And while they are bathing, we wash their clothes and dry them. And we have 2 full-time medical nurses who would attend to them minor medical ailments. We rehabilitate them. And then at lunch, we provide them with lunch. We have 2 for the females. They are taught sewing in the premises owned by the mosque. The 20 ladies are taught sewing so they could go out and start their own sewing or go work for companies. And the men are taught to sell books and to collect cardboards and get empowered. Now, why the mosque and why the Dennis Hurley? It is an association that has built over the years. Built in saying that it is not a Christian organization, it is not a Muslim organization, but it is an organization that has a common purpose of lifting humanity, service to humanity. That is the buzzword. Now, what role do we play? We play the role of being part of the feeding scheme, being part of the medical and group tours like you all. We are people of different religion, different denominations that come. We have a working relationship with the church, the Dennis Hurley, IPCI, and the mosque. Somebody asked a question about division and extremism. Fortunately, the Grey Street Mosque does not, which is known as the Grey Street Mosque. We think it's not a different mosque. The Jummah Masjid of Durban, but it's formerly known as the Grey Street Mosque, to not allow or practice extremism and disrespect for any other religion. We have had people from different thinking, different thoughts, different ideals, and we had people from the Catholic Church, we have had people from the Anglican Church, we have had from the Hindu Mahasabha, we have had people from the government, we had the Zulu King as well that came and addressed. Cardinal Napier, who's one of the 100 cardinals that selected Pope Francis, has spoke twice on a Friday, which is considered our holiest day, where you saw the member, where a pre-Friday talk is given. So we have spread with our open arms humanity, brotherhood. And we expect likewise from them. Now, why the boss is involved with the church or Dennis Hurley Center? We are not involved with a religion. We are involved with humanity to uplift fellow human beings. That's the purpose. And that's the purpose of social cohesion. Social cohesion is not a selfish identity or an entity of a particular group. And like I've said, that I need to change, in my opinion, that there are 5 pillars of Islam and nobody is non-negotiable. Like the question you'll ask, what is fard and what is sunnah? But please accept this, that our Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace be on him, was sent for humanity. He was not sent for Islam only. He was not sent for Arabs only. He was sent for the full humanity at large. Now, what is the way forward? When the question that was asked about extremism, and when I gave you an answer, you cannot allow 10% of the people that are character assassinating, castrating, creating a hatred and fragmenting societies to disturb you from the 90% of the good you can do. So it is important that you take a lesson that it is not a religious duty, which it is in inverted commas, but it is a humanitarian task bestowed upon by Almighty God on you. God is asking you to come here in this world for a purpose. He has not asked you to come to study to become a doctor. That is a channel, a logistics, a vehicle for you to serve humanity at large. So you and I have a duty that we have to work towards integrating our people, then having people fragment us. They fragment us by taking us and splitting us into different groups. I'm going to quote the religion of Christianity with no disrespect. You have the Catholic, you got the Anglican, you got the Presbyterian, you got the Protestant. Likewise, the Muslims, you also got different logistics, different rituals, different school of thought. But at the end of the day, we are channeled one way, and our channel is Almighty Allah, God. What is our purpose? Our purpose is to serve humanity. We can only claim to be successful in life if we have helped our fellow human beings. I thank you all for listening to me. I want to thank IPCI for giving me this opportunity. I may have been rushing through, but they have other speakers and I don't want to steal some thunder away from my fellow brothers here. But I want to wish you all well, and I want to wish you all every success in the PhD that you all are doing. And I wish that we could get your copies here one day and have it in our library. And may God be with you. May God enlighten you, your hearts, to open your hearts to fellow human beings. God bless you all.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ibn Muhammad. I am not sure if Sister Subhashni, if the theses are done for the masters, if you can send us some, because I will share it with the organizations that are representing when you'll do quote them. Most of the bags that you have will have something from each organization in there. Okay, so when you're doing the research, you can refer to, if you could CC us, then I can pass it on to them. Okay, the next speaker is Dr. Ghulam Hussain from the Islamic Medical Association.
Assalamu alaikum. I'm glad you learned that already. The Islamic Medical Association is basically an association of Muslim healthcare workers in South Africa. It is part of an international organization which is based in 30 other countries throughout the world. in a nutshell, the reason for existing is basically twofold. One is to understand Islamic medical ethics and to apply it in our lives. The second one is to emulate what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala calls our Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam as rahmatul lil alameen, a mercy unto the creation. And this is our basic rule, our fundamental reason for existence is to be a mercy into his creation. And we have found that that requires that we reach out to those who are not able to be assisted by existing healthcare facilities. So that's in a nutshell is what we are all about. We exist in this country. We have branches throughout the country. We, the Muslim as a population, 1.5% of the population, we do our share to do what is necessary so that we are regarded as the mercy unto the people of South Africa. Our functions, basically, when you think about our fundamental activities, we run clinics. These are nurse-based clinics in rural areas and in what we call the settlements where there are no facilities existing. This is done throughout the country, in this city, Cape Town, Gauteng, Eastern Cape, throughout we have clinics. Many of the clinics are fixed clinics where people exist in the informal area also. They exist and they have multiple functions. The healthcare function is nurse-based. It's a basic function is to just the basic needs. Anything more than that, we channel them to the hospitals. In addition to that, we bring in all our healthcare workers in. So we will have the opticians, they will come in and examine the eyes and treat them and direct them. We'll have the dentists will come in, they will do the dental side. So we have these programs as well. In addition to that, we also have functions where we teach the people in the area basic things in the homes. We have nurses who go out into the area, into the informal settlements, into the poor areas, and show the people how to maintain cleanliness, how to keep the surroundings clean, how to take the medication, basic things, so that there's a fundamentally, it's education as well. And at the same time, if there is a plot of land, we teach them how to grow vegetables so that they can be relatively self-sufficient in some of the things. So besides that, our centers have other functions as well. If you look at the informal settlements, there's no electricity, etc. So we have the students come in at night, do the homework. The old ladies come in and we teach them cooking, etc. They make big cakes and all that, and they sell it once a week. We have adult-based education system where the adults are taught basics of how to write their names, their addresses, how to communicate, simple things, and to teach them basic English language. So there are multifunctional clinics, and we reach out to the people in these clinics, and these are throughout the country, all over. So this is a function. In addition to that, we also reach out where other needs are. And one of our major functions is renal dialysis. The government facilities cannot cater for the needs, and many of them are sent home to die. So we have started renal dialysis facilities for those who cannot afford it, and we give them free renal dialysis. It's a wonderful thing that we have exists, and it reaches out to many people. It's a free facility which we handle out. So that's another. I said this is basically a reach out. In other words, to help out those who cannot help themselves in the healthcare system. Our membership is all healthcare workers, pharmacists, physicians, dentists, physiotherapists, the whole works. Okay. And so with the result that we can give a multifunctional thing. We also have regularly clinics in areas where there's no facilities. We just go there, we have a day there where we'll bring the people who come in there, we'll check their health up and make sure everything's all right. And if there's anything needed, we either treat it or we send them to the hospital so that they get the health assistance they need. So basically we reach out to those who cannot get assistance in this country, to those who need it so that they can have at least something at where we can. And remember, We are only 1.5% of the population. We can do so much, but we can do more than our weight. We punch harder than what that is. Is there anything else I left out, Fatima? We have other functions. We have created now, it's not yet functioning, a frail care center. We have found that there is a need in the community for frail care, for people who are very old and cannot be cared for at home, etc. So that's a new function that has started, which will be take off in a couple of months' time, inshallah. It's almost ready, the building, etc. So that's another function we do. What else, Fatima? We have a social wing as well, a social arm where we cater for the social needs of the community. That's the Beit al-Nur arm. We have a lot of abuses of females, women abuse, children abuse, etc., and also substance abuse. So we have this facility which looks at that, goes to school, talks to children, go at the clinic, we give talks and guide the people. So that's a social wing that does that as well, so we look out all over the country. And so basically, if you look at it from the healthcare point of view, we do what we can as much as we can. It's a very onerous task, but we feel that this is our need, our duty as mercies unto the creation of Allah. Did I leave anything? Sorry? Oh yeah, well, we helped build a hospital. It's a private facility. The major reason for that is we need funds. So we have a big share there, and so we get some funds and helps the work. At the end of the day, money counts. If you don't have money, you don't count. And if there's anything more, if you ask the questions, I can answer, inshallah.
Okay, we're going to take the questions when we finish all the speakers. Zakar, thank you very much. I think the third speaker, as I told you before, it's Zulu custom. We went by seniority, right? So the third speaker will be, because he's Maulana Arif from the South African National Zakah Fund.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على رسوله سيدنا ونبينا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Jazakallah khair to Brother Iqbal and Uncle Muhammad for the opportunity to present on an overview of the South African National Zakah Fund. Yeah, timing, listen. Can you take it from the telegram? To show why it's not projecting. You have some things. Nice. See if it shows. It's fine. Let's start to use this. Then we'll. Okay. Okay, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. We apologize for the delay. SANZAF, South African National Zakah Fund, was established in 1974 to conscientize people on the importance of Zakah. So just as an introduction, Zakah is a compulsory payment of 2.5%. It is neither a charity nor a tax. It is expected to be paid from every Muslim individual. It is paid on the net balance after the individual has spent on basic necessities, which is your family expenses, due credits, donations, and taxes. Zakah provides us with the opportunity of sharing our excess wealth with those less fortunate than ourselves. So the South African National Zakah Fund was established in 1974 to conscientize people on the importance of Zakah in alleviating the suffering of the oppressed, destitute, and the needy. 47 years ago, owing to the depressing socio-economic conditions in the country, SANZAF was established by a few individuals who were mindful of their obligatory duties towards God, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So basically, our vision is to be the premier Zakah collection and distribution agency in South Africa, to deliver a service par excellence, and to become a model Muslim organization. Our mission, the South African National Zakah Fund, is a faith-based social welfare and educational organization that strives to facilitate the empowerment of needy families through the efficient collection and coordinated distribution of Zakah and Sadaqah, which are charities, in a proactive and cost-effective way via projects with dignity, sincerity, and a shared responsibility, all in the service of community and for the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So our values: we serve for the pleasure of Allah, we are committed to empowering, we serve with compassion, respect, proficiency, and excellence, we are accountable and transparent, and we are committed to making a positive impact. So basically, our approach to this is fourfold approach. Number one is the collection of Zakah. When we collect Zakah, we have donor education and advocacy. We have advice and guidance. We have the calculation of Zakah. We have an app on the Apple iStore and the Google Play Store, wherein you can download the app, and it's called My Zakah ZA, MyZakah ZA. It shows you how to calculate your Zakah for the year. Right. In terms of facilitation and transacting, we have online payments that you can make for Zakah, and we have a communication and feedback page on our website. In terms of Zakah distribution, we have an application process, meaning that you have to qualify Zakah eligibility and assessment. We have the welfare team, which does the welfare assistance. We have development programs, monitoring, output, and reporting. And finally, we have an evaluation impact. Also, in terms of administration, we have operational support functions, HR, finance, marketing, and IT. So our approach, we have a board of trustees, patrons, We have the national office bearers. Each province has a SANZAF office. Countrywide, we have 28 offices. We have regional office bearers, regional heads, and regional offices. Our CEO overlooks all the operation and expenditure. So the fund is governed at the highest level by its board of trustees who meet at least twice a year. The fund is governed in terms of the conditions of the trust deed. The fund is an NPO and PBO, is registered in South Africa. The fund is in good standing with SARS, Department of Labor, and Department of Social Development in terms of income tax, PAYE, VAT, workmen's compensation, etc. The fund publishes audited financial statements every year, along with an integrated report outlining the performance of the organization. So our reach, just in summary, it was established in 1974. The formalization meeting took place in 1977. In 1979, the national head office was established in Cape Town. In 1980, saw a huge surge in income following the appointment of full-time personnel. In 1992, the first national director was appointed, followed by a second wave of growth, with the organization collecting more than R1 million. By its 30th anniversary, SANZAF was collecting and distributing more than 30 million rand per year. In 2015, the SANZAF officially launched its seed program, which is the SANZAF Education, Empowerment and Development Program. So on the 5th of July this year, we published our audited financial statements, and I will share two documents with you. I will give it to Iqbal or Mohammed, right? Our annual financial statements, and also our summary of activities for the year. So this you can use for your research and analysis. Just to give you a small highlight of what we've done over the past year in terms of education. So in terms of bursaries, we funded 842 students at a spend of 17.5 million rand. In terms of early childhood development, we funded 160 students at a spend of 274,000 rand. In terms of Islamic education, 1,586 students were funded at a spend of 5.9 million rand. For vocational studies, which is technical studies, 665 students were funded at a spend of 6 million rand. In terms of youth development, we had a youth development programs for 1,030 students, and we spent 515,000. In total, the number of students that benefited from the SANZAF seed program from 2021 to 2022 July was 4,283 with a spend of 30 million rand. So also I have two books. One book is with this, it's called A Historical Appraisal, SANZAF. The history of the last 40 years is in that book, right? I have two copies, one for each of the universities. And also I will share with you our annual financial statements and our annual report. Thank you very much. If you need further information on our projects and programs, our website is www.sanzaf.org.za. All the information is loaded on there. So.
Thank you very much, Maulana. The next speaker can be either Mr. Ibrahim Daud or Maulana Jadwat. Between the two, you can say who. Okay, Zakar, Maulana Jadwat from Darul Ihsan Humanitarian Foundation.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. In the name of Allah, God, the most beneficent, the most merciful. I greet you with the universal greeting of peace. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Good morning. I don't know if I'm saying this right, but guten Tag to the students of the university. I appreciate the opportunity that we are given to give a rundown on our organization and the type of assistance that we give. Trying to. My name is Mohammed Jadwat. I serve in the organization known as the Darul Ihsan Humanitarian Centre, which is a Durban-based organization. I serve in the welfare department as well as a few other departments, the education department, etc. I was actually told that I would have to present this on quite short notice, so I beg your forgiveness in advance. And also, if I have to run through this very quickly, a quick overview of our organization and some of our activities, our founding philosophy, etc. Okay, if I can zoom in here. Okay. Okay, our founding philosophy, Darul Ihsan Humanitarian Centre is a multi-purpose humanitarian services providing organization. Ihsan means actually in our religion, compassion towards mankind and to act with excellence. The center was established in the year 2000 by our Amir, our leader, a person by the name of Mufti Zubair Bayat, with the primary objective of serving humanity and alleviating poverty and hardship locally and abroad. Since its inception, it has developed and established many humanitarian projects and provides a variety of free services to the community. In terms of what we are about, we provide education, guidance, social empowerment, and welfare services to the community. In providing the service, we adopt a holistic approach that gives due importance to basic needs, as well as human rights and dignity of those that we serve. Our objectives, one of the key objectives of the center is to promote a better understanding of humanity and peace, thereby serving as a bridge builder between faiths and communities. Through guidance, Ubuntu, and empowerment, the organization hopes to train and develop the youth to become torchbearers of hope, peace, and compassion to humanity. We do have quite a lot of activities that we do. Just to run through some of the activities very, very quickly. There are different departments that we have in our organization. If you have to look at this diagram, if I can just show you, we have some Islamic projects that we run, and we have a lot of humanitarian projects. Now, under each name that we see there, feed a pupil, feed a patient, there is a whole talk that a person can give, and whole explanation of the activity itself. I do have some information packs here that if I beg your forgiveness for not passing it out, but if you can, when you get the opportunity, take it from there, and a lot of information is in those packs regarding our activities. Just to run through some of the activities quickly, our Feed a Pupil project in impoverished schools, poverty-stricken schools in and around Durban, we distribute about 53,000 sandwiches a month to 55 different schools, more the poorer schools. We just Feed a Patient project, we distribute about 12,000 snack packs to 20 centers monthly in terms of clinics, government hospitals, etc., to patients that are waiting in the queues, to patients that are bedridden, etc. In terms of our feeding, which is extensive, we distribute about over 3,000 hot meals in the Durban greater Durban area monthly. Of course, this will fluctuate according to the need. We feed when there is a need, for relief, when there is perhaps some natural disaster, some fire that perhaps has afflicted certain communities or informal settlements, then we try to respond to those requests. In terms of empowerment and development, there are a few projects that we run. We have the Al Ihsan Fashion and Design course, which we have a few centers in which we have trainers that train people how to sew basic garments, etc. We have equipment there in terms of the machines, etc., and whatever is needed for them to learn. We have so far 313 graduates under that project. We have the Al Ihsan Caregiver course, where we train more ladies to become caregivers, and therefore, if they are caregivers, they are able to perhaps get a job in in caring for the elderly, etc., and perhaps get a job at certain medical or healthcare institutions. So far, that is a 2-month practical course, and of course, we have professionals that that train our students in that course. So far, there have been 353 graduates. We have a baking course as well. We have a computer literacy course that that is run from time to time, and we have about 5 participants at any given time. At our center, we actually have a fully fledged high school and with an Islamic ethos. We have 71 learners, 9 educators. We have a teacher training academy where we, together with giving students Islamic education, we also encourage them, or we ensure that they try and get a teaching degree. And whilst they are studying, we try and imbibe within them the values of Islam, the values of service to humanity, etc. So that is the Teacher Training Academy. In our social department, we have a fully fledged social department in which we deal with people that need counseling for trauma, people that need assistance with their marriages, divorce, etc. We have a drug counselor as well. We have a guideline project in which people can contact our offices if they need counseling for support, bereavement, emotional trauma, etc. These are some of the projects that we run. As I mentioned previously, whenever there is a crisis, then our organization tries to respond. During the pandemic, in the lockdown, in the year 2020, we undertook different projects to assist the community, those that were perhaps stranded or did not have any form of income because they were not able to work, etc. So there's some statistics there. 27,963 hot meals were provided, 6,300 breakfast meals, 113,500 face masks, blankets, over 5,000 blankets, grocery hampers were provided, PPE was provided, snack hampers, etc. was provided. We have also a bursary department in which we offer bursaries to deserving students for tertiary education, Islamic education, Muslim schools, etc. We have as well under our welfare department in which we distribute Zakah funds. Zakah fund is something which Hafiz Arif spoke about. In our Islamic religion, there are different types of funds. One is Zakah funds that you get, and then you get Lillah or Sadaqah. Of course, the details of that we can probably find out from the learned scholars of Islam or our Muslim friends. So under the welfare department, we assist people on a yearly basis to purchase uniforms, to purchase stationery, and we assist with school fees as well. So we assist around 1,350 learners in and around the Durban area. We know last year, specifically in our province, there was major unrest that happened, looting, and during this time as well, a lot of businesses were quite badly affected. So we tried to respond, and we assisted around 42 SMMEs with funding after their businesses were completely destroyed or partially destroyed. Also, during that time, we assisted with around 10,000 food hampers, bread and milk, etc. So these are some of the activities that our center undertakes. We have a school for kids with special needs in the Johannesburg area, and that was established in 2012. We have specialized tutors. We have 12 full-time learners at any given time, and we have around 100 learners there. Other projects that we undertake: sponsor a blanket project according to the season, learnership program. We partner sometimes with government. We partnered with the Office of the Premier in a pupil orientation program by providing dignity packs to all learners that attended the program. These are just some of the examples of the program, of the projects that we do. Borehole Project we have as well. We try to locate areas where there is a need for water, and people that have donated to us for borehole, we try and assist by digging a borehole in those areas. Our Build a Home project, in the last few years, we have found, or we have, whoever has, whenever there has been a request to us, and we have found that the case is deserving, we have actually built some homes for people that were homeless. In the past few years, about 20 homes or houses were built for people that did not have homes. So these are just some of the activities that we undertake. Of course, time is limited. We cannot cover everything. And I urge you to just have a look at the information pack. And some information regarding our centers. We have around 5 centers around the country, most of them based in Durban. We have plus minus 70 staff. fleet of plus minus 12 vehicles and over 300 volunteers. I thank you once again, and may God bless you all.
Thank you, Maulana Chadwick. Our next speaker and the last speaker is Mr. Ibrahim Dawood, the chairman of Rauf, Refocus and Upliftment Foundation. Thank you. This is no. So you don't need to. No. Okay.
Assalamu alaikum and good morning to everybody. Of course, Rauf was initiated because of the need. After 94, when the army was removed from the borders and they put in the SAPS, and of course, substance abuse became a major problem in the country. And of course, we coming from the liberation background, seeing that the need and the problem and the way it was escalating, we couldn't walk away. Something had to be done. But of course, that's how we started Rauf. And Rauf, over the years, it's grown. You know, it's running like 14 support groups throughout the country. We have facilities that can accommodate up to 100 people. But if you look at the drug scenario at the moment, we are, I think, amongst the worst affected in Africa. If you look at sub-Saharan Africa, Durban is the hub of all the drug activities. There are plus minus 8 million people that are in active addiction in the country. If you look at the success rate, it's only 1%, which makes it a hopeless situation. So to set up an NGO, and you're going to get a 1% success rate, obviously is, I would say, a waste of time. So this prompted us to look at different options and research and try and come up with programs that will give us a better success rate. And that's how we are unique in the way we deal with addiction. If anybody needs to access the program, or what we do is you will have to make access, or you'll have to go to one of our support groups where we will then interview you. And we found that by getting families involved in the program, push the success rate up to about 95%. So the program is a holistic program. It's for everybody across all religious divides. It's run on an Islamic ethos. It's there for everybody. It's absolutely free for those that cannot afford it. We have set up support groups in all the places where people are finding it hard, the impoverished areas, mainly where people are finding it hard to seek help. Of course, if you need help and with addiction, you would go to a private rehab. But then what about those masses that are sitting out there that cannot afford, they don't have the means and they need the help? So we are catering more for the people that are really desperate out there and don't have the means. Over the years, over the last 25 years, we've had thousands of people that have come through the programs. And of course, we have branched out into other things, recoveries that come through the programs. Some of them have gone out and have got into different professions. We run bursaries, all types of skills development programs. We've also run, during COVID, we're running a feeding scheme that was catering like for 60,000 meals in the 12 shelters and surrounding Durban and surrounding areas. Our feeding scheme now, through our recovery program, we have initiated a feeding scheme that feeds on a daily basis. They would go out into the areas and feed wherever there's meals needed throughout KZN. And now we've moved into Cape Town as well. Cape Town is feeding approximately 12,000 meals a month. So feeding scheme is becoming our next big project, but we ideally, or we would stick to substance abuse. And if you look at the statistics, it's frightening. The problem is getting worse. And Rauf is always, we're always under tremendous pressure. We rely heavily on volunteers. Our volunteers come from all religious backgrounds, to help people. The support groups are all run after hours to ensure that people who are working can access these programs. We run a lot of awarenesses in schools, churches, mosques, in corporate industries. Wherever the need is, we are there. We are there to make a difference. We've handed out those booklets, and also our entire program is there. Our last year's activities is there as well in your handout. So you are most welcome to read it. If anybody has any questions, you are most welcome to ask me. We will be here until then. Thank you.
We've come to the conclusion of the presentations. So I'm going to call a colleague of mine, and we will start now the question and answer, the interviews session. So, Sister Subhashni, did you want to conduct that, or you have the people, or you're going to take each one individually, or it's going to be casual?
I would like to ask the group that whether you want to do it one by one, or if you want to, in your group, interview each organization.
Or if you have general questions.
Or general questions. Because this is your, your interview question section. So this is for your research, right? So you like to ask one by one, or each group with your colleagues go to each organization.
Okay, Subhashni, if you don't mind, do you all have groups in class?
Yes.
Could we separate into those groups? It makes it easier for me. I'll tell you why. And then when the question comes, it comes from that group. It'll be less questions there because they share amongst themselves. Is that okay?
I don't know. Maybe the groups who plan to do interviews, you also have to help me out here. And would it also be possible that a group who might have a specific questions for one of the organizations would sit together with maybe one representative? Would that also
That can be good. That can be nice.
So that maybe the different groups have more time, to ask follow-up questions, rather than us taking all the questions from each group to the panel, so that then it will take a long time to answer all the questions from all the groups in the panel.
How many groups are there?
I mean, how many groups? There are 6 groups. I mean, 5 groups here, but not all might have planned to do interviews now. So how many groups would be interested in doing interviews now, with maybe also
One per group, please.
Yeah.
Yes. 1, 2, 3.
Okay. So 2.
Yeah.
Okay. So can you tell me who the groups are?
Yes, please stand up in a group or something so that we have
So you are from one group.
Yeah.
And how many people from here are in your group?
Just 3.
Okay, can they please come here?
Yes.
Because maybe then one representative.
It's easier for me. It's easier for me that way. It's easier for me
and then
that
you
way.
have your.
And
Yes.
maybe when you sit down, you say what your research is about
Yes.
and what you would like.
Can I just get a chair from the contestant, please, somebody? Chef, somebody to chair, please. Okay, you had your hand up. Okay, which is your group? Who's in your group? Okay, just put some chairs around, brothers. Just help me there. Adam, help us to chair there, please. Please move around, please. So this is group 1, right? There's one more person short here. Is there one more person coming up? You. Next group is here. Okay. But you will ask any questions. Second question, who's in your group?
Yes, but still the others are.
So this is 2 people are one group.
Yes.
Okay, there's the panel there. You're going to take it from the Okay, fine. Okay, but not all organizations that were represented have females. Your focus is females, Muslims. Okay. Okay, fine. Who was the third group?
That was the third group.
There's no other groups called.
Yes. All the others were on different pages.
Okay, then you all will ask individual questions.
Yeah, general questions before the groups. General will be beneficial.
Okay, fine.
Then
Can we start?
Okay, so any general questions for now?
the groups that have general questions.
Yeah. If you have questions on terminology, things that were presented, if you have a specific interest that was not covered, I think this would be the perfect time. In the back, I see a hand and afterwards here. Huh? Yeah, no, we have now. Okay, Agnes, please, and then Lisa.
I think she was just stretching.
No, I also have questions.
Yeah, mine is also a general question.
Yes, please.
Okay, where's the first question?
There, and then the second one would be here.
Okay, sorry, can you stand up, please? Yes, would you answer the question?
No, there, in the back.
Okay, can you come front, please? Where's that mic, Abdul Khalid? You can come here, you can come here. No, the thing is, we stream live.
Okay.
The program is streamed.
Okay.
Okay, you can state your name and country, please. And who you address.
My name is Ernest Malima. I'm from Zimbabwe, but I work in Botswana. I'm a student at the University of Pretoria, studying for a PhD in theology. My question goes to all the presenters. Thank you for the presentation, and I was really excited to learn the good work that you are doing in the community. If I heard you correctly, most of the work that you do is much on focusing on social action. Which is much more like directed towards the body, mainly. Among the work that you do, what do you really do that is directed to the soul, to the spirit?
I did Mr.
And how do you do it?
Ibrahim Dawud will answer first.
Thank you.
I'll get the mic. Abdul Khalid, okay, we can come to the mic. Okay. I'll get the roving mic just now.
I like that question. Okay, you see, when it comes to addiction, we're looking at the medical way of dealing with addiction. And of course, we have different types of detox programs and different ways of treating it. But we have found that in the Quran, it says, Satan's plan is to create enmity and hatred between you with intoxicants and gambling. So straight away, our research on addiction took us throughout the country and all other facilities. We toured facilities across the world looking at the facility and how it's run. Everybody is focused on medical, the medical way of fixing it. So in other words, you're trying to fix the body. In reality, it's a psychological, it's a mind problem. It's a thing about choices. And we found that through our research that was done by Dr. Karim many years ago in the Free State, that I think IPCI has got his books, Dr. Karim in Beta, where he was given a task to research how you fix the soul, or how do you heal psychological challenges through what's in a religious way. And we've introduced Zakar. It's called meditation, where you repeat certain words and it starts to have an impact on you. In our 25-year history, we haven't detoxified medically a single person. We've had thousands through our programs. We've had instances where we took a chap off the street that came to us. He was in a very bad state and he was urging, he was going through this withdrawal, extreme withdrawal, and he wanted the drug. And as he was walking out, he heard a meditation program and he sat there and all these things just disappeared. All the salivating, everything just changed completely in him. We've had a student that researched our program and the topic was medication detox, medication or meditation. The person that was checking our work said, no, there's no such thing as meditation, you have to use medication. But we have proven that meditation is what we use to fix the soul. We found addiction to be a soul problem. It's got to do with your weakness in yourself, in your belief system, in yourself first and foremost, and we use that to bring you back to connect up with yourself. So we use a lot of meditation. Like I said, in our 25-day history, we haven't medically detoxed a single person.
Anyone else from the panel would like to answer the question? Paulana? Is it okay? Okay, we'll go on to the next question, please.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for your presentations. I'm very impressed with all the work you're doing. My name is Kevin van Vliet. I'm from the Netherlands. And I have a question to the organizations that are working with the Zakah that comes in. Because, for example, I think you said that your vision is to be the premier organization on that. And I think all your work is quite similar, like you're all helping people in the same way, but then it sounds a bit competitive as well to me. So I'm wondering how you work together with one another as well, or do you work together as well? Thank you.
Okay, thank you for your question. So in the Durban area, in this locality, we must probably have maybe NGOs that are operating that are doing similar work, 15, 20, maybe 25, maybe 30, I don't know the exact number. But it tells us that the need is great. So for example, how we collaborate, I'll give you an example of the bursary fund. So the bursary fund, a large amount of resources are spent to educate people. Over the years, we found that the organizations were having separate application forms. So we've come together to form a central bursary and welfare fund. So the student now can fill in one application form, but that form will read 5 or 6 different organizations. That's the first part. The second part is those organizations that are not on the forum, we send them a list of our students and how much we've pledged to them. So they know that these students are funded by these organizations, there's no duplication. In terms of the welfare, so for example, if somebody comes to the office and tells us that they need assistance, the first thing we ask them is to which organization you're been. So for example, if they've been to Monajadus Darul Ihsan, right? We phone them and tell them, certain person is here with us, they have a file, can you give us an understanding of what assistance you've given to the individual? So they tell us, you know, they are handing the file, please send the person back to them. Because what happens is, the person goes around to different organizations trying to get multiple assistance. So the more assistance they get, the better for them. So we work, we network. It's a very important aspect of our work.
We have another question from a group.
Thank you so much for the presentations. I have a question for the group that spoke on the Zakah, the 2.5% of contribution, right? How do you manage to encourage the people to give? What is your strategy? You know, is within the teachings of the religion, or how do you mobilize for people to give those 2.5%? Because one group doesn't have much income, may say, I have to give 2.5 of from what? You know, so what language you use in order to mobilize people to give that percentage of the Zakah?
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Okay, in terms of Zakah funds, if we look at, I don't know if we heard what the 5 pillars of Islam are. One of those 5 pillars is actually the giving of Zakah. So Zakah is not something, if a person is a practicing Muslim, it's not something that we have to encourage him to do. Him of his own accord, if he knows his religion, he himself will actually look for an avenue to come and give that Zakah. In terms of whom Zakah is compulsory to give, there are requirements that a person has to reach for him. In order for him to give Zakah, a person has to have a certain amount, which in Islam is called the nisab amount. And that only once a person has that in his possession, which is over and above his basic needs and necessities, is he eligible to pay Zakah. So it's not like every single Muslim now has to take out 2.5% of whatever little he owns and give Zakah. No, that's not the case. The nisab amount itself, that goes according to the value of gold or silver in the market. So that's basically how it's determined whether a person has to give Zakah or not. There are certain rulings and regulations that apply to it, but that's basically the thing. And as I said in the beginning, praise be to God that we do not have to actually encourage our Muslim brothers to come and give. It is actually part of our religion. It is a compulsory charity on every Muslim to give from his Zakah, if of course he is eligible to pay that Zakah. And those that are not eligible to pay Zakah, of course, most of them are eligible to receive the Zakah. So the ones that do not pay the Zakah, they will be the ones that actually receive the Zakah from the rich giving to the poor.
That's from a group or an individual? From a group. Come again? Okay, but the first thing we just asked was from a group or an individual, so we could sort of like switch it out.
So we're doing individual.
Individual currently. Okay, then I appreciate the chairman to find out your questions addressed to who is the mic. It's not really. Okay, please come.
I don't know whether we're in afternoon or in the morning, but whatever way, afternoon. Okay, good afternoon. My questions will be just 2 or 3. The first one, I want to know the ideology of IPCS.
Yeah, I'm going to answer the question.
Okay, the ideology in terms of, is this Sunni or Shiite, or I don't know how to pronounce that. Then the second one is the issue of Zakat. You see, when something comes with money, people always want to know more about it, or investment. Does we encourage, in the group, we encourage either investment? And the second one is that, did you give across all the faiths? Like in terms of bursary, is it only peculiar to the Muslim, or is it going across all the faiths, either Christian or either indigenous, whoever has the. And the last one is on the rehabilitations. What are the challenges that you face in the process of implementing this rehabilitation center? Thank you, sir.
If you don't mind, I'll take this. This is, and you lecture now.
Oh, yes,
Because your question is a loaded question. Put it that way. I'll give it to you now.
I don't know. I just
Yeah.
this is it's transcribed.
Yes.
I don't understand.
Thank you very much. Our brother is from Nigeria, and the surprising thing is, our Dr. Tawfiq Abayubi and him come from the same town. Alhamdulillah. Okay. Assalamu alaikum. Peace be upon you. We did the mosque tour together. I'm the liaison officer of the IPCI. I'm going to take the first part of the question, and I'll try to do the second part, but somebody else is going to answer the third part. The IPCI is this organization, and this is a waqf. I think I told you what is a waqf, the building. It was founded by Sheikh Ahmed Hussein Bidat in 1958. And the actual truth is that this organization in 1958 to 1986, if you all turn towards your right, about 500 meters, there's an arcade they call Madrasa Arcade. And the IPCI for a good 30 years was in an office right up to where the camera is up to here. That's where it started. And it moved on to this building here in 1986. The main reason for coming to this building, this floor is purpose-built for the IPCI's activities, is because most of the tourists, when they finish the tour, they come here and we have a mosque tour. And they sit, watch a documentary, it's internet, it's exhibition, and there's a coffee bar. But a large part of IPCI's work is primarily proselytization of the Islamic faith and to bring people to common terms with one another. The Quran says, come to common terms with one another, right? So that you may understand each other, right? Not that you may discriminate each other. Now, in IPCI, a large part of our function is taking the mosque tours, which were started from 1952, but we get a large portion of school tours. So all these exhibitions move to the side, the entire area is here. With the school tours, we get the Durban Metro Police and we get the child welfare. And apart from telling them what the mosque is and what Muslims do, they learn road safety and also what is abuse. And we get the Metro Police in it. And we have a video that we show the kids at the schools called 1001 Inventions. If you have the time, watch it. 1001 Inventions is Islam's, if you look at the exhibits here, Islam's inventions 1,000 years ago, like cataract surgery, cath surgery. As Maryam Astrolabi, astrolabes was started by her. You read it in here. So it's educational as well, not just proselytizing. The second part is a large part of the mosque tours that we do, like your university. We had a university called Whitworth University. It's Whitworth University, Christian University for the Arts from Spokane. And for the past 15 years, every second year, we do a 3-day Muslim homestay with them, where these American students live in Muslim homes, right? And the Muslim family, I told them, if they want to go on a Sunday to church, you take them to church. And we tell the American students, check under the bed if you find any bomb making equipment. And we tell the Muslim family, look above your house if there's no drones coming by. And it's worked very, very well because they are still in communication with one another. And they all found out that everyone has the same needs. You may be from a different block religiously, but the wants are the same, the needs are the same. All of us want the kids to go to university. We want to own our own house. We want to increment in wages. It's not a Muslim one, a Hindu one, Jewish or a Christian one. Human beings are the same. So the project has been working very, very well. We have over 7 branches across the country. And if anybody needs something on Islam, whether Quran in German or in French or in English or in Zulu, you get it on demand wherever you are from the IPCI, right? So apart from all the other functions, these are some of the functions. We have some youth programs as well. And we also have university and church programs. Like Mr. A.B. Muhammad was telling you that the mosque contributed to that, the Catholic Church's parish center, the Denisali Center. But the azan for the opening of that parish, that Denisali Center of the Catholic Church, was given at the opening of a Christian organization. And the IPCI held the fast with them. We did a joint program with them. And the 3 organizations worked very, very well. You can say that the first halal Christian soup kitchen in the world is here. And the mosque contributes to the soup kitchen of the church. And there's no food allowed in the soup kitchen. That's not allowed because it's a joint program, meaning Muslim customary law for eating. And this is the IPCI and the function that we do. Organization that was 60 years old. And if you need to represent Islam, if there's misconceptions on a radio station or some Islamophobic minister or person in your country burning the Quran or something, and you need to go on radio or on air, on TV with them, if it's a talk show, contact us. We will represent Islam on an academic platform for you. Right? We did it internationally and locally. The second question was Zakah, the 2.5%. The gentleman asked, is it for Muslims or for non-Muslims? Is that your question? Can non-Muslims be given Zakah?
In the process of disposing this Zakat, either through bursary or this, did they deal it across the other religion?
Okay.
Or is it only particular?
Islam has 5 pillars. One of the 5 pillars for Muslims is a poor tax. Sorry, a poor Jew. It's a Jew that the poor have over you 2.5% after 1 financial year, right? After your liabilities are paid, your excess money 2.5%. It is primarily for Muslims. It's spent on Muslims primarily, from Muslims to spend on Muslims. If there are Muslims that all their needs are met and there's no poor, then the fuqaha, the scholars will decide. But this question is not for me to answer to you. I will get Maulana Arif to answer for you. It's a jurisprudence question.
So the answer regarding the collection of Zakah, Zakah is collected from Muslims to Muslims, 2.5%, right? In terms of the categories of Zakah, there are 8 categories of Zakah, right? And one of the categories of zakah is those whose heart are inclined towards the deen. Meaning that if someone is inclined towards Islam, in that way, zakah can be used for him. But the scholars, the people who know the understanding of the principles, they will decide who we can distribute those funds to. Your third question was regarding, no, that's it. I think it was regarding, do we give non-Muslim bursaries? Yeah. Yes, the answer is yes. So we have two categories of funds, zakah and non-zakah. Non-zakah is known as lillah, L-I-L-A-H. Lillah means for God, right? So you can, in our offices or many other organizations in Durban also, right? We have a certain amount that we allocate for non-Muslims applications, right? So you apply to us, you comply with the regulations, and we provide the bursary to you. So there is funding, special funding available.
If I can just add to that answer, in terms of charity funds that we are encouraged to give in Islam, Zakah is actually only one type of charity that we give, and that is the compulsory type that every Muslim who is eligible to pay Zakah give. Our Prophet Muhammad ﷺ actually came as a mercy to mankind, and he encouraged us to spend on the poor, those that are unfortunate. Zakah is the compulsory one. There are other types of funds, as Hafiz Arif has mentioned. There is lillah, there is sadaqah. Those are involuntary charities which Islam also quite a lot encourages us to give as well. And that, of course, can be used for non-Muslims, people of other faiths. So it's not only that we assist people of the Muslim faith, we are encouraged as well quite a bit in our religion through the usage of other funds to assist people of other faiths as well.
Okay. There's three of the participants are leaving. Dr. A.B. Mohammed will say you goodbye.
What was very encouraging, that the enthusiasm that you have shown in asking the questions, rather you make yourself certain of what it is and the interpretation that is being given. And God had made it possible for a very good panel that was here to answer questions and to these pious soldiers of religion of Islam. And there was no question for the devil, so I can take leave off now, so I can go. I want to take this opportunity of wishing you all well. May God assist you all in your accomplishment of the PhD. I have an affiliation to Nigeria. Where the people from Nigeria? Two, three. I have a brother in Nigeria who was studying a PhD, and he was scouting through the website and internet, and he found my life history, and he wrote a PhD on my life, and he got a doctorate. And the graduate school, the Commonwealth Graduate School of London, saw fit to give me a doctorate because of the doctorate given to this student. So I hope Mr. Khan hasn't got a doctorate yet, so I think first I will this, at least we'll address him as doctor. You know, it may be just a name, but it has some significance, and I say it with pride that it took an ordinary man in Nigeria to look at my life. So when you people come from outside, the greatest teaching in the religion of Islam is the traveler, like you people have traveled, has first preference over us in our home. Where do we stay? So you as travelers are given the ultimate, the highest respect in a Muslim home. That is a demand that the Prophet has conferred on to us, that the traveler must be given the respect as fit as a king. So I hope you all were treated well. If you all have not, then complain to him. If there's anything good, you can write up to me. Thank you very much. God bless you.
The third part of your question was rehabilitation center. Can you just tell me what you meant? Challenges, what is the challenges?
I think he was asking for a program of what are the challenges and how do you go about establishing such a district?
Challenges in recovery, you mean? In rehabilitation, in recovering, in rehabilitating somebody, the challenges, that's what you mean. Okay, of course, there are many challenges. You know, the first, one of the biggest challenges we have is trying to get the families on board, trying to make families understand that you're living with a problem, you have to learn how to deal with it. In many cases, families are in denial. They enable the addiction. They enable it. Silence, keeping quiet is enabling. Giving money is enabling. Making excuses for the addiction is enabling. These are all forms of enabling addiction. So the biggest challenge we have is to getting those families to understand. They would normally say, "But I don't take that drug. Why do I have to learn how to, deal with or live with?" But you're living with somebody in addiction, you have to learn. So empowering the enabler is the biggest challenge, and trying to make them understand that, listen, there is no quick fix, because there are stages into addiction. There are 4 stages to get into addiction, and there are stages in recovery. Because the EQ levels in addiction is very low. The emotional intelligence is very low. And to bring it up to a normal standard, you got IQ and EQ. The EQ levels are low. So to bring the EQ levels up is a process. Trying to get that mindset and focus properly, you need a lot of motivation, a lot of drive. A lot of people, 3 months, 4 months, 6 months into recovery, they go very quickly into overconfidence and they relapse. So our programs are long. We've got people that are sitting in our program for 21 years clean, and they're still sitting in the program. I've got a youngster sitting in the back that came off the streets. And today he's got a profession and he's working nice. He just gave me company. But the thing is, working with denial and enabling of families is the biggest challenge. And also trying to change, everybody has this mindset. If he doesn't want to change, there's nothing I can do. Not true. Not true. He chose addiction, you must choose not to live with him. Live with addiction, and you got to do everything in your power to get him the help that he needs. And don't wait for him, because it may be too late.
Ibrahim has a very good saying. He says that rehabilitation never ends. My nephew is 21 years, I think. And still the programs and still the bonding, the way entire family. It never ends. The rehabilitation never ends. You take it a day at a time, but 21 years. Still from 21 years clean, but still you still go for rehab. You still carry on. It's a very amazing recoveries that I've seen there. I just want to say that I think it's Women's Month, right? So the ladies are not asking questions, only one and all the men. So I think
maybe that is also due to I'm not sure if I was not clear when I made the suggestion that the groups sit together like that, because my idea actually, and I'm sorry if that was not clear, but my idea was actually that those groups, and they consist of a lot of ladies actually, who prepared to ask questions and do their interviews here in this community, sit together so that maybe one respondent could also sit with them, so that they could engage in more questions and also in a deeper conversation. And I think that unfortunately we have a lot of ladies who are part of the groups that
can you let them speak? Tell them to put the interviews through.
No, but sorry, but maybe that is a misunderstanding. My suggestion was, if there is a respondent who can actually sit with them. Now, if that is not possible.
It is possible.
Okay, because otherwise, otherwise it will just take a long time if all the groups ask all their questions as plenary questions. That was, but maybe I didn't make myself clear, and I'm sorry. But I think that is why
I put them in groups, thinking that they will call the panelists to come to them and start the interview.
Yes,
That's I think
Okay,
yes.
Can we start that?
Yes.
If we close this, and maybe before we go into the group work, everyone says each group says, what are you working on? And then the others still have questions to ask the people who are here if you have questions on an individual basis, but then the group work can happen.
Okay, so is it the group work now?
Yes,
Okay.
this would be okay.
So who would you like to start with?
But can you say what your topic is? What do you want to find out?
Our topic is to find out how
was the participation of Islamic community members in the COVID vaccination. Thank you very much. So what was the other group with researchers?
Sacred texts and SDGs. So maybe somebody from the health space and then maybe gender as well. Yeah. Is there an additional person from the health space?
Yes, there is an additional person. Sister, come through, please. It's her.
That'd be great.
Could you come to the
They're looking for another person from the health space.
Where's the next group?
Yes. Yes, I think there are sitting already together, then maybe you can switch.
Okay, perfect.
Maybe you can also tell us again what you are
Yes.
All right, a quick recap then, which would be over here, sacred scriptures, right? Sacred text. Okay, that would be the primary thing that we want to discuss, and obviously medical afterwards.
Oh, sacred text, you can do it.
Over here, they wanted to find out.
You can do sacred text.
Okay, no problem. And over here, we said it's medical, it's vaccination and how the Islamic community. And over there, we have like women in the mosque. Yes, women in the mosque that we'll be discussing over here, right? Okay, thank you.
Okay, so we also have an exhibition in the back. So if you're interested in having a little
Religious text. The picture will have.
But maybe what religious texts say on how. All the others have some time to go around and ask questions if they want.
To all the listeners on live and on social media, the program is terminated. The interviews are taking place with research papers. We are going to pray and have lunch. We thank you for listening in online. And if there's anything you need regarding this, contact info@ipcisa.com or 0027839828 or 002779229029, and the IPCI will respond to you. And if there's anything that you need from the organization or from the Humboldt University, you will get. Thank you very much for listening. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.